Dividing with two-digit divisors. In this lesson, we will look at division problems that are pretty big, and we are going to be using long division to solve these. And these problems will also have a remainder. So let's get started. Here I have 2,541 divided by 48. So what I need to do is think about my strategy. I like to use does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers, and that stands for divide, multiply, subtract, check, and bring down. Now these are pretty big numbers, so we need to use a lot of estimating. So let's think about 48 going into 254, which I know it's not 254, it's actually 2,541, but we're going to break these numbers down a little bit. So if you look at 254, or just this little section right here, then you've got 250 divided by, rounding 48 to 50. So then I can see, okay, 50 will go into 250 about 5 times. So at this point, I'm going to keep this erased on this side because I don't have a lot of space on here. But at this point, I'm going to take 5 and place it right over the 4. Now, that was division. I'm dividing 48 into 254 5 times. Now I'm going to multiply. So I take 48 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. And 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24. That is pretty close. So now I would write it right here, 240. Now once I write it, my next step is to subtract. So I've already divided, now I multiplied, now I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4, 5 minus 4 is 1, 2 minus 2 is nothing. Then ask yourself, is 48 greater than 14? If that was checking. If the answer is yes, then you can bring down the next number. Now back to estimating. 140 divided by 50, that would be about, if I say 3 times, 3 would be 150 would be too much. So I am going to say this is going to be divisible by 2, or divided by 2. So 48 will go into 141 2 times. Now I'm going to multiply 2 times 48. So I'm going to come down here and multiply 2 times, let me erase some of this. If you can hear in the background, it's raining and I have the doors open. So now 2 times 48, so that's 48 times 2. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So 2 times 48 is 96. Now my next step is to subtract. 1 minus 6 isn't going to work. I need to do a little regrouping here. 11 minus 6, count up, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 5. 13 minus 9. If you need to regroup, that's fine. This will be a 0. This is a 13. 9, count up, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is 45. Now, look at this next part. You have to ask yourself, we just subtracted, so now we have to check. Is 48 greater than 45? Yes, it is. Just barely, but it is. Now, is there anything else to bring down? The answer is absolutely not. There is nothing else to bring down. So, 45 is your remainder. Remainder of 45. So now we're going to check it. And by checking, we're going to take 52 and multiply it times 48. So 52 times 48. 8 times 2, 16. 8 times 5 is 40 plus 1 is 41. Now, drop a 0. 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 5 is 20. So now I've got 6, 8 plus 1 is 9, 4 plus 0 is 4, and there's 2, 2,496. This has to match our dividend, and it doesn't. I've got 2,541. So I have to add the remainder now. So I'm going to take this, I'm just going to rewrite it up here because I ran out of space. 2,496 plus the remainder of 45. 6 plus 5 is 11. Carry my 1. 9 plus 1 is 10 plus 4 is 14. 4 plus 1 is 5. And 2. So now I've got 2,541, and that matches my dividend. So that's how you know you got it right. If you check your problem by multiplying and adding the remainder, if there is one, then you can definitely check to see if you got it right. Alright, let's do another one. Okay, again, I'm going to start off by saying, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. Alright, so 6 will now go into 1 or 15, but it will go into 159. So if you think 60 plus 60 is 120, 60 plus 60 is 120, that's close to 159. If I do one more, that's over. So I am going to stick with 2 on this part. So I'm going to say, okay, 159 is divided by 65 is 2. That was division. Now I'm going to multiply 65 times 2. Come over to the side. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12. And one more is 13. And the next step is to subtract. 9 minus 0 is 9. 5 minus 3 is 2. Now this is very important. You need to check. Is 65 greater than the number you just got? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. If the answer is no, then you need to recheck the division. So now that I've got 29, the next step is to bring down the next number. So now I've got 6. So let's see. If I remember from what I did earlier, if 2 times 65 is 130, then perhaps maybe I should multiply it times maybe 4. So 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24 plus 2, 24, 25, 26. That looks pretty close. So I'll write my 4 up here. Now I've already multiplied down here, so 4 times 65 is 260. And now, if you're working this on your own paper, obviously you don't have to erase, but I have very limited space here, so that's why I'm erasing that. Otherwise I wouldn't bother erasing. Now it's time to subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6. Hold on. 9 minus 6 is 3. Here's the important part. Check. We're on this part right here. 65 is greater than 36, so you're on the right path. And is there anything else you can bring down? Nope. So this becomes your remainder of 36. So 1,569 divided by 65 is 24 with a remainder of 36. Now we're going to check it. It's important to check it because you can make a small mistake and get it wrong. But if you check it, then you can catch that mistake. So we're going to multiply 24 times 65. So 24 times 65. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Done with that one. Drop a 0. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Now I'm going to add 0. 4 plus 2 is 6. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I've got 1,560. Let's check to see if that matches. It does not match, but remember we have a remainder. So I'm going to go and add the remainder of 36. I'm just going to rewrite down here because of space, and I'm going to add the remainder of 36. 0 plus 6 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. Then a 5 and 1. So 1,596 definitely matches 1,596. So I definitely know that my answer is correct. All right, here's another problem. Here I've got 7,321 divided by 22. So again, divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. I'm going to divide. 22 will go into 73. If you count by 20s, 20, 40, 60, that's about 3 times, and you're estimating. So let's take 22 and multiply it by 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. That's pretty close. So I'm going to take a 3 here, and now I'm going to multiply. And I've already multiplied here, so I know that that's going to be 66. So now it's time to subtract. Regroup. 13 minus 6 is 7. Now I can see that 22 is definitely greater than 7, so my next step is to bring down the next number. So I bring down the next number, and 22 will go into 72. That's about the same as what we started. I have 73 here, I have 72 here, so I'm going to say that 3 is a pretty good estimate of this answer. So 3 times 66, again, I have it here, so 3 times 22 is 66. I subtract, regroup. 12 minus 6 is 6. Check. 22 is definitely larger than 6, so my next step is to bring down the next number, and I've got 61. Now look. We have been multiplying 22 times 3 to get 66. Well, this is 61, which means that's too much. So the next step down would be a 2. So now I'm going to multiply 22 times 2, and that's 44. And then I subtract. 1 minus 4. I need to regroup. 11 minus 4, 11. Count back. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Or you can count up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 5 minus 4 is 1. Now check. 22 is definitely greater than 17. And there's nothing else to bring down, so this is your remainder of 17. Now, of course, we're going to check it. And in order to check it, I'm going to multiply 332 times 22. So 332. Alright, so my phone rang and now I got distracted. I've got 332 times 22. Times 22. Alright, so 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 3 is 6, and then 2 times 3 again is 6. Drop a 0. Now 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times the other 3 is 6. And now it's time to add. I've got 4, 6 plus 4 is 10, 6 plus 6 is 12, and 1 more is 13, and 6 plus 1 is 7. So I've got 7,304, and it doesn't match. But I have got this remainder of 17. So now I'm going to take this 7,304 and add 17. So 7 plus 4 is 11, and then that's 2, 3, and 7. So I've got 7,321. And there it is, 7,321. So it's always very important to check your work, especially with long division, because there are so many steps involved that you can very easily make a mistake. All right, let's try this one. So here I have 8,563 divided by 39. So does my screen keeps moving. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. This is the order you have to work in. So let's look at 39. We'll go into 85. 39 rounds to 40. So 40 and 40 is 80. That's very close to 85. So I'm going to say that 39 will go into 85 2 times. Now I'm going to multiply. Come to the side and take 39 times 2. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 78. Now I subtract, regroup. 15 minus 8 would be 7. Count up or count back if you need to. 7 minus 7 is nothing. I can obviously see that 39 is definitely greater than 7. So the next step is to bring the next number down. So I can look at this. 39 times 2 is 78. So that's too high. 76 is your next number. So I'm going to have to bring it down to 1. 1 times 39 is 39. I subtract. 6 minus 9. Can't do that. I need to regroup. 16 minus 9 is 7. You can count up. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 7. And then 6 minus 3 is 3. Now this is really close, and this is why it's important to check. Is 39 greater than 37? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right path. If the answer is no, then we need to check our work. But since it is, we're moving on. The next step is to bring the next number down. Now this is pretty large. So if I look at, let's just say 40, the 39 would be close to 40, and 373 rounds up to 400. So if I take 400 and divide it by 40, that gives me 10, but I can't put a 10 up here. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to say 9 instead of 10. So I'm going to use estimation to see if 9 works. So I'm going to take 39 and multiply it times 9, and hopefully I will get close to this number without going over. So 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 8, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. And I got pretty close without going over. So I'm going to place my 9 here. Now, 9 times 39 is 351. I subtract. 3 minus 1 is 2. 7 minus 5 is 2. And check. This is where it's also very important. 39 is definitely greater than 22. There is nothing else to bring down, so this is your remainder of 22. Alright, so then the next thing I'm going to do, obviously, is to check it. And to check it, I'm going to take 219 and multiply it times 39. So 219 times 39. 9 times 9, 81. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 8 is 17. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 1 is 19. So I'm done with those. And now I'm going to drop a 0 and do the next one. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. 3 times 2 is 6. And now I'm going to add. 1 plus 0 is 1. 7 plus 7 is 14. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 5 is 15. 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8,541. And it's close. 8,563. What I need to do now is add the remainder. So I'm going to take this, 8,541, and add, my remainder was 22. So 1 plus 2 is 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. Then there's 5 and 8. Now let's check. 8,562. 8,560. Uh-oh. We made a mistake somewhere. Where did I make my mistake? Let's check. Oh, right here. See, now that's a good thing that we checked, because 1 plus 2 is not 2. 1 plus 2, and that was a simple mistake. 1 plus 2 is 3. So 8,563, 8,563. Excellent. All right, we've got one more. All right, so again, divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. How many times will 77 go into 2? None. 21, none, but it will go into 215. Now, if you think, okay, 77 is close to 80, and you say, okay, 80 times 2, that's 160, but if I do 80 times 3, that's too much. So, let's stick with 2. Let's take 77 and multiply it by 2. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 7 is 14 plus 1 is 15. That looks a little low, but I think that's going to work. So I'll put my 2 right here. So 2 times 77 is 154. I subtract, and I'll have to regroup. 11 minus 5 is 6. Is 77 larger than 61? Yes, it is. So we are on the right path. So the next step is to bring the next number down. Let me make a little more room right here. So multiplying 77 times 2 gives me a 154. I need to get all the way to 619. So 8 times 8 is 64, but that's not really 80. This is not really 80. It's 77. So I'm going to say, okay, let's say 77 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 7 is 49 plus 4. 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. Okay, so that could work. Let's try that. 7 times 7, 539. Subtract 9 minus 9 is 0. 1 minus 3 doesn't work. So 11 minus 3, count back, 11, 10, 9, 8. Now check, is 77 larger than 80? And the answer is no, it is not. So this 7 right here isn't going to work. So I'm going to back it up, and we're going to try, instead of a 7, we're going to try the next number up, which is 8. So 77 times 8. 77 times 8. 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 7 is 56 plus 5. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61. Alright, that's a lot closer without going over. So I'm going to put an 8 right here. 8 times 77 is 616. And now it's time to subtract. 9 minus 6 is 3, and that's it. And 77 is definitely larger than 3. There's nothing else to bring down, so this is my remainder of 3. Now, of course, I'm going to check it. I'm going to take 28 times 77. So 28 times 77. 8 times 7 is 56. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 5. 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Done with this one. Now drop a 0. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 5. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then I add 6. 9 plus 6 is 15. 9 plus 2 is 11. So I've got 2,156. And here I have 2,159. Close. But I've got to add my remainder of 3. So I've got 2,156 plus 3. That's 9, 5, 1, 2. 2,159 matches 2,159. So that was a lot of work and a lot of steps. But if you check your work by multiplying the quotient and the divisor and adding your remainder and making sure that it all matches, you will catch any mistakes that you have made. So I hope this video has helped. I know it's a lot of work, but sometimes we have to do long division and not use a calculator. Thanks for watching.